Hi and welcome to a new video. This is Mo from FC Mastery Path and I'm glad to be your presenter. This video is going to be a continuation of a previous video that I have crafted regarding building a cost intelligence suite of products in the form of web applications. My philosophy was, why do we have lots of Power BI dashboards which will rely sooner than later on modeled context protocol and incorporate LMs to craft the DAX or the data analytics expressions in addition to the data model itself, the data cleansing measures and the likes. If we're going to be doing that in Power BI or Tableau, why don't we create a web application which is going to be tons faster than this piece of software? And these web applications can be easily connected to large language models through API keys. So my vision was to create all of the Power BI dashboards in the form of web applications in one product suite. And my pilot was to start with a cost intelligence suite of web applications. And you can see the previous video from here, which contains a number of them applications, including predictive cost analytics, actual cost assurance, and the inflation and deflation calculator. And in today's video, I'm going to be discussing two further applications that I have crafted, which are resources, unit rates, database, and claims management applications. And now without further ado, let's dive in the walkthrough. So starting with the walkthrough, as we have alluded to in the previous video, we have discussed that we have the actual cost assurance and we have explained the application thoroughly in a walkthrough, in addition to the inflation and deflation analysis, not forgetting to mention the predictive cost analysis. And in this video, we're going to be focusing on the claims management analysis, or the CMA application as I prefer to call it, and also the resources unit rates analysis. So the main philosophy of this application, which is the resources unit rates analysis, is to have a database of resources, meaning labor, plant and material, the LPM split of the different activities, and then understanding how they are compared and contrasted between different contractors, and also undertaking benchmarking, and not forgetting to mention the incorporation with the inflation indices. So in the previous video, we have used inflation indices from the BCIS, which is the Building Cost Information Service. Also in the UK, we could use the ONS, the Office of National Statistics, inflation indices, and you can apply your own indices in your country of practice. So let's start with the resources unit rates analysis application. So as you can see in this application, it is incorporated already with the inflation and deflation analysis. I've already previously uploaded the BCIS inflation indices, and I need to upload the resources unit rates data. I can get started, upload the resources data from here, and it's going to take a little bit of time. I have about 10,000 resources or 10,000 records. They are uploaded successfully, and the titles that you could find in this database are basically a description of the resource itself, the unit of measurement, the unit rate of it, the resource type, whether it's labor, plant or material or other, the base date, which is quite vital to be able to inflate the data itself, and also the inflation index name from the BCIS. I've also classified the data using a hierarchical format up to 6 levels, in addition to adding where the data came from in terms of the country, the company type and the company tier. The company type meaning contractor or consultant, and also the tier itself. Is it tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 and the likes. The project type is also quite vital to understand if you are undertaking works in rail projects, station, civil works, buildings, highways and the likes. The data confidence is all about whether the data is coming from an estimate or a tender submission or an actual application for payment or an interim payment notice. And then the resources unit rates analysis, that's the most important page. First thing is the end user will have to choose the target date for whichever resource they are trying to study. So for example, let's choose October 2026, and you could see here all of them filters. I'll just try to search for concrete C16/20 as an example. So that's level 1. Level 2 is going to be in Rhythmix concrete. As you can see, I have quite a lot of elements on the concrete. That is the hierarchy or the breakdown structure that I've used. You could use your own. The application is quite flexible. It accommodates up to 6 levels. And then number 3, I will use C16/20 to C25/30, and then I'll use the C16/20. I'm not going to be dealing with the outliers. I'm just going to leave all the data as is. All I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be collapsing the filters pane. So the first thing that the end user is going to see is a table about what's happening behind the scenes. This is merely a classic table with all of the data that is existing in the database. base date, the inflated unit rate, the base unit rate, or the base date unit rate, some details about the company, that it's a contractor tier 1 in the UK and whatever it is. And then when you scroll down here, you will see a box and whiskers plot which showcases the distribution of the rate itself. So you can see that the minimum is 140, that's the inflated rate, and the maximum is 250. You can find here the first quartile, the median, the mean, and also the third quartile. On the right here, you can see how the base unit rate changed over time, and that is quite important because at the end of the day, if you could see here, for example, in February 2019, it was 134 quid per meter cube, and here in November 2024, which is the last date of this resource in the database, you can see that the rate didn't change. This is quite vital for people when they are pricing. If you have a rate in the past, you don't necessarily need to inflate it because sometimes the market rate didn't really change that much, and there's a proof here. So that's the rate in 2019, February 2019, £134, and the rate in November 2024, it's actually 5 years, it didn't change. 134.29. That's 5 years difference. And when you scroll down, you'll see the different rate from different contractors. So you'll find that contractor 2, or actually different parties, not necessarily contractors. So you'll find that contractor 2 priced it at 214. Contractor 1, the average of the inflated rate is 196, and contractor number 3 is 173. And on the right here, you could see the actual distribution of the inflated unit rates. So you can see also the P50, the P60, the P80 and P90, and you can enable and disable the different percentiles however you see fit. I prefer to show this to give sense to the end user about where the majority of the rates are sat. So as you could see here, the majority of the rates are potentially around the P50. So there is about 17 samples, which is about 22% of the actual rates. So 1/5 of the rates are sat around the P50, which could give some sort of like a confidence to the end user about which rates they should be used. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll find here a graph which tells you the trend of the rates over time. So you can find here the base date unit rate over time, as we have seen it above, and then you'll find here 4 graphs, or actually 5. The historical, the regression forecast, which is the bottom one, and that's based on the behavior of the data. You will find the inflated P50, the inflated P60, the inflated P80 and inflated P90. So you'll find here 5 lines. The reason why I've included that is to tell the end user that you don't need to be sticking to only one specific rate, but rather sort of like a distribution, and it's completely up to the estimator to choose which percentile to pick up in here. I would say specifically in here, if I'm going to be pricing it, I'm just going to be picking up the P50, which is anywhere around the 179.42 to 185.05. So potentially around the £182 mark. And as you can see here, the mean is around the 188. So it's, I would say, around the £180 mark. It sounds viable. When you scroll down a little bit, you will find a petite narrative around what's happening behind the scenes in the base unit rates and the inflated unit rates based on the chosen time period, and also some sort of insights about if there is any huge increase in the inflation or decrease in the inflation itself, and the difference between the P50 and the regression based forecast. And I think that's going to be quite vital for the end user or the estimator when they are undertaking an estimate or benchmarking resources that have been received from a multitude of contractors or consultants or clients. So that's basically it for this application. I didn't include intentionally further capabilities because I think I don't need to have overlapping functionalities between the different applications, hence the decision when creating this application. The second application that we're going to be discussing today is the claims management application, and when you open it, you will be greeted with 3 main files that need to be uploaded. The first one is claims data, or change orders or variation orders, or compensation events depending on the language that is used in the construction contract that you're using, the budget data or the cost data, also the time related data. So the budget data or the cost data is basically the cost plan or the agreed bill of quantity that has been agreed between different contractual parties for this specific contract or project. And then you'll have the P6 schedule or Microsoft project file or whatever it is. I'm going to show you now the formats that I have adopted in order to make this work properly. So my philosophy is that in order to make things work properly, you have to integrate the method of measurement and the work breakdown structure in all files. That's when you're mapping something, it is going to be reflected everywhere. So in here in the schedule or the P6 file, I have included 4 levels for the WBS. It could be 6 levels depending on your project, and also 4 levels for NRM1, which is my preferred method of measurement for building works, and then the activities and lots of details about them: start date, finish date, duration, predecessors, successors, lag days, and the likes. The same for the cost plan data. So I have the WBS, the NRM, and the actual BOQ itself. So the elements, the quantity, unit of measurement, and also the unit rate and total. And the claims data. So that is, it could be summarized, it could be detailed depending on the requirements in your contract. So what I have included here is claims related data, the description of the claim itself, some bits and bobs about the date it was submitted, date assessed, and the likes, the WBS mapping in addition to NRM1 mapping, and not forgetting to mention the relevant or the corresponding number of days or months or weeks and the cost of the claim as well. So that is mainly the backbone of the data that is going to be uploaded. So let's upload the data now. So for the claims, that's the claims register, the cost data, and the schedule is going to be the time schedule. And let's see the overview. So in here, I've created a number of tabs which could be reduced a little bit potentially in future versions. So I had quite a lot of ideas in mind that I wanted to implement, and then later in the future I can reduce the functionality or tweak the functionality to suit the end user. So here we have an understanding about the claims in terms of the number of claims, the cost of these claims, the impact in terms of number of days, and the impact on the costs as well in terms of a percentage. What's the cost variance? You can see here the original duration and the adjusted duration. Definitely these figures are dummy, so you wouldn't have a project with 538 days as original duration and then with claims it's going to be exceeding 1,000. That would be very bad claims management or project management in the first place. But it's just to make the numbers work and the application work. You can also find a brief about the status of the claims themselves, and also the top cost list claims and the duration breakdown in the claims themselves. You could find here the projected final cost should these claims be approved. So having understood the overview of the data itself, let's analyze a little bit the categories. So you can see here the different categories. So we have a total of 5 categories for the data itself following the NRM, and you can choose different levels however you see fit. So level 1, level 2, and you'll see here the different sections of NRM1 showing top 8 categories. So you'll have 8 categories level 2. It's going to change depending on the level that you want, and you can export the data as well. You can see the table which contained a thorough level of details about the different categories and what is the average cost per claim, the total number of days, and so on and so forth. So continuing with the charts, you can also see here the time impact, and that's going to follow the choice here in the NRM level. So if I chose level 1, you'll see that this chart is changing, and also here you'll see the top 10 categories. Definitely as you go up in the hierarchy, the categories are going to be changing accordingly or decreasing accordingly. Another page is the WBS mapping. So you can see here also the mapping in accordance with WBS. So in the previous one, the category analysis, it was NRM. Here it's going to be WBS, but the same methodology of thinking. You can have charts in addition to the tables themselves, depending on how you want to analyze the data, whether it's NRM or WBS, completely up to the end user. The schedule impact, potentially that is going to be changed a little bit to be in the form of a Gantt chart, but for the time being, because this is an initial proof of concept and hoping to reach an MVP, that's how I developed it. So just column charts, understanding for each and every single category, how much was the original duration, how much extra time is needed for each and every single category within NRM1. You can choose all of them categories over the CFIT and see if there are some of them bits and bobs or work packages that have been impacted by the claims. So for example, let's choose the MEP. You'll find that the MEP, the baseline was 172 days and the delay is 25 days. You can also see here the delayed activities themselves, so which activities will suffer because of claims themselves and whether they are critical critical or not, and you can also see the critical path itself because of the different claims. Following from what we have discussed before, let's move to the cost impact analysis, and you could see the impact of the changes in each and every single work package in accordance with NRM. So you could see the budget versus claims. You could see also by status, what is the value of the claims under assessment, the submitted, the closed, the agreed and disputed, and what is the cumulative costs following the claims. As you can see here, that's the original budget and then a number of them claims leading to the final budget. So let's go back to the budget versus claims, and you could see here as well the breakdown, the budget in each and every single NRM1 code, and what are the values of the claims, what is the revised total, and how much the claims form or contribute out of the overall budget. You can see that there is some brief insights here about the highest cost category and what are the claims in that cost category and how much the claims contribute to the overall budget. You can find here also the pivot table, which resembles Microsoft Excel. You can break down the items by NRM or by WBS, however you see fit. So you can see substructure, for example, and you can drill down to the fourth level. That resembles Microsoft Excel, again with some key points concerning how to use this. So that is good and all, but the most interesting part is the AI chat. So in here, you can go to the AI chat page and then choose the provider for the large language model. Let's say that we're going to be using Llama for local models. I'm going to press on refresh models to import the models that I have downloaded. Let's say that I'm going to be using Mistral 3 14 billion parameter instruct, and I'm going to be testing the connection. You should see here some sort of like a green button that everything has been connected successfully. So as you can see here, that's connected. I'm going to create a summarized table of the claims so far, taking into account a number of bits and bobs of the columns. I can also include the work breakdown structure itself, and then I'm going to be generating the summary, and I'm going to be querying this summary. So one of the things that I'm going to be typing here is, in order to make sure that the LLM itself has access to the right data, describe the actual data that you have access to and give me some key insights. That's going to take a little bit of time to generate, and depending on your preferred computing power. As you can see, it was nearly instantaneous, and this is not optimized because I'm using Llama, which uses GGUF formats, and I'm using MacBook Pro. So definitely I could connect that to LM Studio and use MLX. But this is to give you an idea about the art of the possible and how you can generate a two-liner update using AI instead of using classic dashboards. The option of classic dashboards has already been implemented, and also an option of LLM generated summary is also implemented here. The LLM has generated a very good answer. It started with explaining the data that it has access to alongside some sample values, and then key insights from the data itself, how many claims are under assessment, how many have been submitted, how many have been disputed, the percentage, in addition to the total claim value, and then some key observations from the claims data that have been provided. Overall impact, which is 538 days, 22.4 days per claim, and again I'm using a 14 billion parameter model, which is so small if compared to the latest and greatest ChatGPT or Claude and the likes. And then breakdown of the key claims by the work breakdown structure, in addition to some red flags, any themes or patterns in the data itself, the risk assessment, which is really good, in addition to some proactive measures and further understanding about the reporting that should be undertaken. This now gives you a very good understanding about what the data looks like in the back end and how the LLMs deal with the data. So this whole application contains the classic way of analysis and reporting using dashboards and flashy visuals, and also an AI chat using a multitude of them LLMs, whether local large language models or cloud-based large language models. And that's everything for this video. I hope that you found it useful and insightful. At the time being, this initiative is in the alpha phase, hence I'm not really comfortable to share the source code, but I'm more than happy to collaborate to enhance it and take it up a notch and to the next level. I really think that this initiative is going to take the construction, data analytics and generative business intelligence to the next level. I'm more than happy to welcome any sort of collaboration or sponsorship. And before you go, do not forget to watch the previous video from here so that you could have an overarching picture of the whole initiative. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one.